This is Dave from MAEL MÓRDHA, and you're listening to What's Metal.
So we played a few songs of your band already on the show, but I guess the listeners wouldn't be familiar with your band history, so probably you can briefly introduce the band a little bit.
Oh, Jesus, that's a tough one. MAEL MÓRDHA is probably on the go since about 1996, but there was a lot of lineup changes, so the current lineup, I'd say, since about 2002. We had our first album release in 2000 and what year are we now? 6. So that would have been last year, 2005. Clúin Tarv on Carmageddon Media, and the next album will be out hopefully this January 2007 with Grau.
So what are the selling points of MAEL MÓRDHA? So what is like the typical trademark sound? What kind of music are you playing?
Well, that's handy enough because we've invented our own genre, which is Gaelic doom metal, and nobody else plays that, so we can do what we like. No, it's I don't know if you want to call it maybe folk metal, doom metal. I find it hard to categorise, and thankfully so do a lot of other people. It's a different experience on CD and live. We've been compared to bands like Solstice and then Falconback, Bathory, so I don't know. I'd leave it up to the listener to decide what Gaelic doom metal is, but that's what we do.
So the current album was released last year, as you mentioned, by Carmageddon, and I think it was recorded quite some time before the release date. So what caused all these delays? The material is quite old already, isn't it?
Yeah, there was some delays. 3 of the tracks from Clúin Tarv were originally done in demo form, were never released, but they were just for promotion for labels. They were remastered for the album, and then we re-recorded. So, there's been some criticism of the album in that there's a bit of diversity in sound, and that's, it's bad, but that does come from the time lapse between the recording sessions, and it is a bit noticeable. But something we've tried to do, and we're doing as well on the new album, is that to go back to the old demos and re-record the songs. We decided that rather than forge ahead with new material, we would rather re-record the best of the old songs going back as far as 96, 98 for a new audience. I mean, maybe because a lot of them are live standards in our set, and we'd like to do the songs justice for a new audience.
So lyrically, the band is quite a serious thing, I would say. So what kind of things are you singing about?
Oh, Jesus, there's a huge range in the lyrics. We have a few songs which are directly drawn from Irish Gaelic history. The title track on the first album, Clúin Tarv, it's sort of a dramatisation of the Battle of Clontarf, which is a famous battle in Irish history. But then again, there's much more personal sort of lyrics. I think Rob in his lyrics, he's maybe getting towards that sort of Gaelic bardic quality of drawing images from nature which are relevant to personal feelings. It's very hard to explain. I don't know. They're there to be interpreted, but as well, I think they're very personal to Rob, a lot of the lyrics.
Currently, there's some kind of a trend, I would say, for pagan or let's say folkish metal, especially a lot of Scandinavian bands around. But they all sound somehow, I don't know, like party bands or fun bands. So do you think that it would be possible actually for an Irish band to play some kind of folkish metal but be funny at the same time? I think Irish history always is somehow miserable or melancholic or serious.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I mean, there are a lot of bands playing, and it's something that I don't particularly like in folk metal. You've got something we try to avoid is having songs where you have the metal part and then the folk part. And I think a lot of bands fall into the trap, and they can ruin a good song because they can have a good vibe going in the song, and then suddenly you get the sort of ultra happy kind of la 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 folk bit, and it wrecks the song. We would always try and strive to write a good song, blending the metal with the folk elements. To try and create an atmosphere. And personally, I would always go for something a bit darker with an edge to it. I don't know, I'd rather listen to Skyforger than Fintroll, like as a just off the top of my head sort of thing. But in terms of Irish culture, yeah, there's, you know, in Irish music, in Irish history, we have a tradition of the melancholy, this sort of sad element of sadness. I think you can certainly hear that if you listen to other Irish bands like Primordial, Gasa. That definitely comes across in their music, and that's certainly the vibe we're trying to achieve, you know. But I don't like to put us, you know, too much in the folk metal category. I mean, we kind of feel that there's a sense of doominess, if that's a word, through our music, and we try to get that across.
Okay, so I think the most outstanding thing in the promotional history of MAEL MÓRDHA would be your TV appearance for You're a Star. So for our listeners, that's some kind of Talentwettbewerb im Fernsehen, something like Pop Idol or something like that. So basically you participate there with a few other bands and try to win a prize. I think it was participation at the Eurovision Song Contest or something like that. So maybe you tell us a little bit about that experience, how that somehow affected the band, and also how this participation in that context now looks, with having in mind that Lordi just won the Eurovision Song Contest.
Yeah, fucking those bastards, Lordi, like they stole our thunder. It should have been us. Nah, it was a very fun experience. We did it more for a joke than anything else, just for a couple of days out. It was an interesting experience. It was good to see like how a slick TV show like that gets presented. You know, I mean, in terms of the music, the presenters were shocked, horrified to even see a heavy metal band turn up and play to try and get into the Eurovision. It's totally uncool, but I have to say I kind of like the Eurovision. I think it's a good thing to have. The music is shit, but I think everyone should fucking try and participate in it. We had fun. I don't care, you know. We got a little bit of good publicity out of it, and there's no such thing as bad publicity. So anyone that saw the band, if they like it, they can go on the website, check it out, download a song, you know. But I certainly wouldn't do it again.
Okay, so our show is called What's Metal? So what do you think is metal?
What do I think is metal? Oh, fuck. Beer is metal. Women, metal. I don't know. Sleep probably isn't metal, but I don't know. I'm just doomy and miserable, so I'm probably not a good judge of what's right or wrong.